Good Friday evening, everybody. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center with a sports weather segment. Let's go ahead and take a look here at the current Doppler radar across North Florida and South Georgia. You see all dry conditions right now, and that is some good news. Not going to see any shower activity interfering with high school football. It doesn't look like tonight. Now, those temperature readings, though, we have some 80s here on the board still, so a little warm, but we're having some cooler air that is on the horizon. That's actually moving on in. You can kind of see the hint of that as we look off toward the north and the west here. You kind of get a grasp of some of that nicer weather condition moving on into the picture. So kind of a hint at what maybe we'll see tomorrow night for that FSU game against North Carolina there in Tallahassee, which we'll get to here in depth in just a few minutes. But right now you see 82 in Keystone here. We have 83 in Gainesville, 81 in Lake City there. And then as we get up toward areas in toward southern Georgia, we have 77 toward Albany and other spots there, Waycross at 80 degrees. So just kind of giving you a sample on some of those different readings here on this Friday evening. Just trying to give you some of those different temperature numbers here as we get across North Florida and South Georgia. So now let's go ahead and kind of broaden the view out a little bit as we go ahead and try to give you not just what the radar's showing, but actually some of those sky conditions here. I know it's always important to get that viewpoint of things here too. Kind of don't just focus on the radar, but actually focus on what it looks like for different areas here. And we'll start off with the baseball grounds in Jacksonville first off. And you do see some of that cloud cover around to an extent, but we're going to be seeing a little bit clearer in the way of conditions as we are looking ahead into toward the timeline here. And then as we get towards some more other cameras, I know as I'm just looking at some different things right now, the Jacksonville International Airport calling it kind of a situation where the sky has a few clouds there in it and broken clouds overall. As we go ahead and kind of look now here, we're going to transition from the baseball ground over toward the UF weather stem now and take it to Gainesville. Unfortunately, I know we were hoping to talk about a game that was going to take place there tomorrow against LSU for the Gators, but a coronavirus outbreak within the UF football team there has caused that game to be tentatively postponed until later there as we get toward December 12th. So just unfortunate situation for them as we are looking ahead. Of course, everybody impacted by the coronavirus, we keep them in our thoughts and prayers as we now go ahead and look toward Tallahassee, where it looks like that game will take place as scheduled, and you'll be able to see what is happening there. And you see even clearer conditions, really, that sun going down, making for a nice picture there here on this Friday evening. Just great to see something that is awesome. As we now go ahead and move away from weather stem now, we'll go ahead and see some different vantage points here on some of our other systems, and we're going to go ahead and kind of move away here for the moment from our radar imagery here with those temperatures, and we'll kind of give you that look here at the tropical climatology, and you'll be able to see what is happening here in terms of the hurricane season. And we just want to kind of give you a quick update, just because we haven't been on as much this week. I just want to kind of let you know what's happening. Still have a chance here for some formation of some tropical cyclones, so we still have to pay attention here as we're getting there into that peak in mid and late October here, October 16th now. So I'm just going to continue to watch. So we do have a couple systems to look at here. You have one as we get off Florida, 60% chance of development within 5 days, and another one 30% chance of development within 5 days. The one with 30% chance of development, that's the one we want to pay attention to a little more carefully as it kind of moves on up here as we go ahead and look toward the southeast. We just want to continue to keep our eyes on that because some models are trying to say some development here, and we're going to go ahead and just watch it here. Maybe it could end up going off as we look headed into timeline there east of Florida, but it's too early to speculate or really know for sure. So just stay tuned. I'll be giving you updates next week, of course, as needed on that, as we are still into hurricane season. Have some rain in the picture as well. I know as we look ahead for the next 7 days, I'll step out of the way a little bit here and you see some shower activity possible. We're seeing a little bit more now coming in the picture for North Florida, South Georgia in the timeline, but you see a lot more rain down toward the south there, and they're even getting rain around that time we're looking here now. As we get down toward part of the South Florida region, you'll be able to see what is happening. So let's go ahead now and give you that vantage point. You can kind of see this is what it looked like a couple hours ago, but right now you see most of the action here off the coast, and that's some good news starting to move away. I know we were watching maybe for some strong to severe storms, and you can see, but we were looking at on the radar did indicate that potential, but luckily things starting to tame out. I guess you could say calm down a little bit. That's good news here, kind of getting tamer as we look ahead here, and I'll pop up radar scope real quick, give you another viewpoint here as we're looking off of Kendall, Miami, Homestead, Key Largo. You get the idea, the worst is moving away, but we'll watch for that Miami-Pittsburgh game tomorrow at noon over on the ACC network to see if we get some shower activity going for that, maybe even some thunderstorms, around a 50% chance or so, as we're looking ahead for that region for tomorrow in terms of some showers and storms. So just be watching. I was looking at some of the high-res models, not showing as much, but just again, keep your eye on that situation as we get down there toward that area. I know Miami's still there in the top 20, so trying to get that victory against the Panthers, who have lost 2 straight games. Of course, Miami themselves there coming off that loss against the Clemson Tigers. So we'll go ahead now and look at some other things here in the show. We'll get over towards some high school football forecasting. Bradford there at PK Yonge. That game starting here actually about 7 o'clock. I know some different discrepancies there in the actual start time for that, the kickoff, but it looks like 7 o'clock here as we are getting there in toward the timeline, upper 70s. No chance of rain really, and that's some good news. Mostly clear overall. Some clouds still could be around as you were seeing on some of those cameras, so just keep that in mind. But overall, it's going to be a pretty nice evening, a little warm there, a little on the warm side, but overall pretty nice there. And my prediction for the game, I'm picking my Tornadoes. Ironic that I went to a school there in high school with the Tornadoes, in the middle school, actually the Hurricanes at that point. So Hurricanes fighting Tornadoes. My high school alma mater, Bradford. I'm expecting the Tornadoes to get the win there over the Blue Wave tonight. Game again at 7 o'clock. It'll be a close game, though. Both teams have the same record. And looking at one of the common opponents, Hawthorne. I know Bradford had that great comeback win against them last weekend, or last Thursday, I guess you could say, as we're looking ahead there, or looking back as we're getting to about 8 days there away from what we're at now. And then as we're looking toward PK Yonge, they ended up losing there. Hawthorne came back against them the week before, so that's what I'm basing my prediction off of. But it could be a really close game playing down there in Gainesville in Alachua County. Now as we look towards college football out toward Tallahassee now, you'll be able to see what we're anticipating for that. The North Carolina Tar Heels going to the Florida State Seminoles there. Game 7:30 on ABC in Tallahassee there. Doak Campbell Stadium, around 70 degrees is what we're expecting around kickoff there. And rain not really expected to occur though. Mostly clear skies, nice conditions overall. I know Sean McDonough, Todd Blackledge, Todd McShay, and another reporter there, Molly McGrath, will be on hand for that contest. So that's to be pretty exciting to see as we get toward that game tomorrow night there in toward Tallahassee. Now, in terms of the weather, again, so nice, but I'm expecting, unfortunately, North Carolina to come out on top here in the game that we are watching, as many are actually going to be watching the game there where we have, of course, the Alabama Crimson Tide taking on the Georgia Bulldogs in Tuscaloosa. And a little core for that contest. So many questions surrounding Nick Saban's status for that game, as he initially tested positive for the coronavirus, but now some negative tests. So just crazy sequence, really. But again, in this game, I'm expecting North Carolina to get the win, though I do think it'll be a little bit closer than maybe the experts are expecting, maybe more of a 7 to 10 point game, though. We do have to watch for the loss of Tamorrion Terry. He's not going to be playing this weekend, or as we're looking ahead a little bit for some of our upcoming games. So that could be an issue here, and that makes our chance of pulling the big upset a little less there. And we'll just have to continue to watch here, though. Again, the game tomorrow night, 7:30 on ABC, Saturday Night Football on ABC. So hopefully we can pull that big upset. We don't normally play teams like North Carolina on Saturday Night Football, but this game moved on to the ABC Network Park after the Baylor-Oklahoma State contest got postponed due to a coronavirus situation on the Baylor team there. So we're going to talk now about the college football top 7. I know we've kind of given you some other stories to kind of get you going, but now let's go ahead and get into this. And we have Penn State at number 7 now. I'm introducing them to our list as things a little bit different right now with the coronavirus. They're not going to be playing until next weekend, but I just think based on some other teams losing, like the University of Florida and their defense struggling so much, I just have to move a team like that out of here and give teams here the benefit of the doubt that haven't played that look like they're going to be pretty good, at least for the time being. But it's so hard to come up with criteria this year with some teams playing, some teams not. You kind of get the idea. But as we look ahead here on the list, we have number 6 North Carolina. They have 3 wins there, and that's coached by Mack Brown, the FSU alumnus there, and he has never actually beaten his alma mater. My Seminoles, my alma mater too, but I do expect him to get the win tomorrow night. But maybe, hopefully, FSU can pull that upset off. It would be really exciting to be one of the more exciting wins probably for FSU in a long time if we could do it. But Mack Brown again going against his alma mater here tomorrow night at 7:30 on ABC. Notre Dame, they beat FSU last week, but that game was a little closer than you would expect. But I think FSU's improving. Notre Dame was coming off a coronavirus situation where they ended up having their game there, looking back, impacted. So you just got to be aware of that too. But as we get now toward Ohio State, number 4, the Buckeyes, they haven't played either, but they're a really heavy favorite to get into the playoffs this year, it looks like. Quarterback there as we're looking toward that position. Their quarterback there by the star quarterback that transferred out of Georgia there, Justin Fields, of course. And then number 3, Georgia, I have them ahead, actually, as I move them in Alabama ahead of Ohio State as we're looking ahead to my latest poll. We weren't on last week because of the hurricane, of course, with the hurricane coverage. But number 3, Georgia there, number 2, Alabama. And I have moved that squad there up into this as well. Their impressive win against Ole Miss, and also looking back, they had a really impressive win against Texas A&M. That win last week that their defense struggled, but their offense was extraordinary. And then number 1, Clemson, I still have them at the top of the list. They're going to face Georgia Tech here tomorrow, so that should be an intriguing battle there as we're looking toward that contest. Georgia Tech, an improved team, but we'll see just how improved they are when they take on Goliath and the Clemson Tigers there. Dabo Swinney, Trevor Lawrence, just a team that's filled with so many stars as you look ahead there toward that. But as we get now toward the NFL, we have Saturday games, of course, we talked about, but now Sunday games. You see the Detroit Lions 1-3 here at the Jacksonville Jaguars 1-4, a 1 o'clock kickoff on Sunday over on Fox, and low 80s there as we're watching that one. Mostly sunny conditions, breezy as well, so that should be kind of nice overall there for that, but a small chance of rain, 10%. We'll just continue to watch that forecast here as we look back down towards South Florida again. I'm going to go and pop this back up. Our radar is clear here, but South Florida, you have that storminess around, something that those folks are keeping an eye on. And I know just talking about watching here the radar, of course, so we're going to just be watching these games. And also I do want to mention here, you might be hearing a little bit of a noise in the background. I know some neighbors are practicing there right now. It looks like on a shooting range, so sorry if you hear a little noise. You might be wondering what that is. It's kind of a little inside baseball per se there. But again, as we're looking ahead toward that radar, you see some of that lightning still off the coast. Going to watch to see if some more storms developing there tomorrow. So let me go ahead and pop back on camera now. Again, low chance of rain for your Sunday. Now, we do want to also talk here about the prediction for this game. I have the Lions getting the win. They're 1-3. They just came off their bye week while the Jaguars 1-4. And it looks like the Lions are just going to have a little too much power on offense. The Jags defense really struggling. So that's how it might end up going based on my analysis. But now I do want to rehash kind of the forecast we were showing you earlier on, because we weren't on Twitter yesterday because there were issues with Twitter. Twitter pretty much down when I went on. We just couldn't post anything there. So we were on Periscope though, and just want to go ahead and let people know on Twitter, however, what is going on with that forecast. If you missed it yesterday, this is what I had last night. Can I just go with this pretty much? And you see upper 80s there as we're getting toward Friday, 70s in the Saturday time from a little core. Sunday warm back up a little bit, as you can kind of tell, and Monday there warming up even a little bit more. Those rain chances relatively low, and then breezy at times here as we're looking toward Tallahassee as well, though we're going to see some of that slack off as we get ahead here in the timeline. You see nice conditions for that game tomorrow. Hopefully we can get that upset win against the Tar Heels. Now temperatures warming up there though as well as we are kind of looking ahead there as we're getting toward Monday 63-84 as that air kind of moderates after the cool front goes through. So we'll watch for that. We'll watch the tropics here. We're also watching high school action there, of course, in terms of those games getting ready to kick off, and even some baseball too. Major League Baseball here gonna be getting underway out in Arlington later on, but right now in San Diego, the Tampa Bay Rays trying to get on to the World Series. I know they lost games there 4 and 5 after winning 1 through 3, and just trying to get back on the winning track really to get to the World Series, as we of course watch the weather in South Florida there. But as we look here toward Petco Park, that game on TBS right now with Brian Anderson on the call, and that game in terms of the actual score is 0-0 in the bottom of the second inning. 1 out there for the Tampa Bay Rays, who are batting here 3 balls, 2 strikes there, 1 out as we reiterate with 1 on base. So hopefully the Rays can get that win, get on to the World Series. We'll continue to keep track of that as we now have 2 outs, unfortunately, there in that one. But as you are looking here toward this area, 80s, lower 80s right now, upper 70s, the story. And we do have some warmer weather that's been in play, though, relative for them, and that means that heat advisory is still in effect here until about 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific time for this region, so something that these folks definitely having to deal with here. As we also look now toward Arlington, Texas, where the forecast has definitely played a role, even in the game action there last night. I know some of the balls kind of being influenced by the wind as they kept the roof open there at Globe Life Field, and they're going to do the same here tonight, as it looks like the LA Dodgers trying to come back from a 3-1 hole in the series. Hopefully the Braves, another team from the Southeast here, trying to get that win. Hopefully they can, and get on to the World Series as well, which would be in Arlington. You see lower 70s right now. Overall there, 73 at the Arlington Municipal Airport, 70 at the Grand Prairie Municipal Airport. And we'll just be watching to see how that game does go there with the roof open. The wind's maybe not as big of a factor, but it's going to get cool again. And the Dodgers maybe not used to that as much, so that could play a role here. And maybe it'll get the Braves onto the World Series for the first time since 1999. I know that game on FS1 here, Joe Buck on the call around 9 o'clock or so. That game will see first pitch, so hopefully that game will be starting by the time the Rays are wrapping up the ALCS there at Petco Park in San Diego against the Houston Astros. So that pretty much does it for sports weather for now. Again, we're going to be watching all these different games. I do want to mention also that Jaguar game on Sunday. We'll be kind of keeping an eye there to the radar just for a scattered shower or two, but not too big of a deal overall. We'll pop up the current radar just to kind of see you another perspective here, a hypersensitive type mode. You'll be able to see what is happening, and it's not showing very much, if anything at all. And that, again, some good news. But that game on Sunday, it will be on Fox, but a lot of the stations here in this area are not actually going to cover that game. You're not going to show that game. They're going to show other games of interest instead, like WOGX Gainesville, Cali. They're going to be showing the game there between Carolina and Chicago. Same with our station there out as we get toward Tallahassee. They're going to be showing that contest as well. So just a little program note. You have to actually be in the Jacksonville market unless things change to be able to see the game between the Lions and the Jaguars. Of course, unless you're there in person, where some fans in a relatively limited capacity are being allowed in. Now, as we look up to Southern Georgia, I know there's some of the Falcons and the Vikings. So, again, things kind of interesting there. In terms of the Jaguar game, though, we're going to be seeing the announcers with that one. Chris Myers, Greg Jennings, Brock Heward, and then the reporter will be Jen Hale. So we're going to be watching to see how that game does end up going there. Maybe the Jacks can get that upset win and kind of keep their season going, because to be quite honest, it looks like that season's slipping away at 1-4 here with the Titans with that perfect record in the AFC South. So we'll be watching that. We'll be watching here everything that is going on here in the future with some of the different games that are going on here. Hopefully again the Noles. Maybe we can get that win here tomorrow. Trying to get that big upset win against the North Carolina Tar Heels. It would be the signature win in Mike Norvell's first year, more than likely, because I don't think we're beating Clemson here as we're looking ahead to November. But North Carolina, a team that maybe we can beat here as we watch at 7:30 tomorrow night on ABC. Go Noles! Go Bradford Tornadoes as well. I'll see you back here on Monday with your latest weather update here as we go ahead and look at that. We're going to be doing that update here in about the same time frame as this one. Of course, just go ahead and tune in then for your latest forecast. But for now, just have a great weekend.